Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Sochi Slay Show. I am Heather.
I am Chauncey. Today we have the blessing to have two of my favorite people today, our director of community, Candace, and then the director of social media, Ashley. I'm so excited, guys, to have you guys here. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Candace. I've been with Sochi Slays for I don't even know how many years, but I just remember when Chauncey was struggling to get it up and running, but I decided to help her, and it's been a crazy journey. I remember when we were celebrating like 10K followers, and just to see where we are at, where we are now, it's kind of crazy, but it's been great. And I love how uplifting this community is, and it's just been a positive experience.
Yay!
I'm Ashley. I'm the director of content, and I started off as an intern about a year and a half ago. And honestly, I just loved the community and just loved how everyone involved with Sochi Slays like uplifts each other and like pushes you to like your greatest potential. So I wanted to stay, and I don't regret a second of it. And I can't wait to see how we continue to grow.
Yay!
Okay, so today we kind of want to reflect on, we just talked about growth and how the experience with Sochi Slays, but also I think like individually our personal growth throughout, not only helping with Sochi Slays, but I think, I don't know, at least in the last year or two, what are some advice or key words of wisdom that you wish I think you would have known when you were younger? Like, I don't know, maybe high school, college. What are some like points in your life in which you're just like reflecting? You're just like, I wish I would have known this, because then I wouldn't have done A, B, and C or whatever.
I think for me, like the one thing I wish I'd known in high school that I learned throughout college, or I'm learning right now, is that the only person that you need to like be in charge of like their happiness is like yours, and it's completely like okay to make selfish decisions when it comes to like your happiness or someone else's. Like you're gonna not hurt some people, but you're gonna have to make some tough decisions in order to like keep your peace. So I think that's like one thing I wish I knew in high school.
I think like it took me so long to I think come to terms with that, is that you are in charge of your own happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think people are still trying to figure that out. They place their value and their happiness outside of themselves, and I mean, that's just like a number one way to be disappointed for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you put all your happiness in like someone else or something else, like it's not.
It's not gonna work. It's no bueno.
Yeah, and I feel like some people are still trying to figure out what actually makes them happy, and I think that's the hard part of it too. I don't know. Life is just, it's hard.
It's trial and error.
It's hard. It's up and down. Like, I feel like with life, growing up, like, you tell your younger self, like, you're going to do this, you want to do this, but then you get older, like, oh, that did not happen that way. Mm-hmm. And, like, you have to forgive yourself. So I think I learned, especially, I'm in my 30s now, so especially my 20s, I learned to forgive myself for the mistakes I thought would have done me so wrong. Like, I'm more forgiving of myself. But then also, like, I'm more aware of my own personal self-care, my own self-awareness. Like, I know that what makes me happy is not going to make everyone else happy, and that's okay. And you have to be selfish. You're okay to be selfish without being known as a bitch, but it's okay to be selfish because you're taking care of yourself. But yeah, like, forgive yourself, because we're all going to make mistakes every freaking second of the day. Like, I made a mistake this morning. I forgot to turn the water off in the sink, and I was like, oh, here we go, the mess. But these things happen. Like, you make mistakes, but I think you have to learn how to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself is like one of the key things I've learned in the past. Like, I can say like the past 4 or 5 years, especially.
Yeah, I feel like the guilt, like things that like you wish you would have done better or handled better. I know, like, I reflect on certain things. I'm like, that could have went down differently.
Yeah. I think something that I've realized is like if you don't forgive yourself, you're going to spend like your present, like what's happening now, like focusing on like the past that you like can't control anymore. So you're just like wasting, like not wasting precious time, but like you're focused on something that's out of your control now, and all you can do is just like use that to like kind of like create a life that you want now.
No, and I mean that I feel like that's kind of been my biggest thing. Like at first I was going to be like, oh, one of the key points that I was going to say is like, oh, stop worrying. But I mean, yes, stop worrying. but it kind of almost hints to the fact of what you said, Ashley, about like the controlling aspect. Because I used to like want to control like everything, and like everything has to have a certain way, done a certain way. And I think the most freeing thing that I learned, and it took me late 20s, 30s to like really kind of figure out I don't have control over anything except myself and like what I do. Like that's the only thing I have control over. I have no control over how things turn out. I have no control over like who likes me. I like them. Like I have no control over jobs or, you know, certain aspects of projects or, you know, what my life is supposed to be like when I was 25, because I thought my life was going to have everything by the time I'm 25. And that's the biggest fucking joke there is. Like,
no, but you're right.
How that goes down.
You're so right.
Talk about married by 25 and kids are like, gross.
No, but you're right though. Like at 25, like I knew I'll be done with school. I would do this. I'll have this career. I'll have my own house. And like that's a bunch of crap. Like it's a bunch of crap. And it's okay to be a whole different life. Like I wish I would never put so much pressure on myself because I'm like a very like pressure. Like I want to have things like you said a certain way. Like I know myself. I like things to be a certain way, but I have to realize it's not my plan. It's like a higher calling their plan. I can't rush things. I can't put pressure on myself to have certain things. It's all gonna fall in when it's supposed to happen. My plan's already written for me, and I can't try to like make a new plan just because I'm like, well, you know, so and so has this and I don't. Well, so and so probably has other shit that they're going through I don't effing know about, and that is what it is. But it's not like to me. Like I have to like worry about who I am and make sure the people that I love is taken care of, and I respect them, they respect me, but also know that the pressure needs to stop being so like detrimental to my character.
I mean, I know there's been a lot of change that has happened in our lives, and especially in this last year, and there's still a lot of uncertainty as, you know, we start to kind of reopen and join life a little bit more. I'm finding that a lot of people are having like stress and anxiety, and it's just like, what do I do? What's this going to happen? You know, so on and so forth when it comes to the unknown in the future. So have any of you guys kind of had these epiphanies where you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna like let Jesus take the wheel for you know, for lack of better words?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. When you're an adult, you kind of want to plan everything out, and when something doesn't go your way or the way that you plan it, it's hard to maneuver that. And I don't know, I'm still trying to accept things that I don't, if things will be okay, but I don't know. It's hard for me to just like like you said, like let Jesus take the wheel, because I like to plan things out. And if something doesn't go the way that I plan, I need to have like plan B.
How
C,
do you
D.
adapt though? Like, because I mean, how do you then yourself face those things? Like face that?
I don't know. It just stresses me out. And I feel like I just put unnecessary stress on myself, but that's still something I'm just trying to figure out, you know?
How do you work through it? Do you know? Like, I mean, I'm asking just like from the point of view of just like, what do you do to try and like get yourself to calm down or work through it or whatnot?
I mean, honestly, I'm still learning how to deal with stress. So it literally, I don't know. I just think about it, and a week later, I'm just like, okay, well, if it's meant to be, it'll be. And if it doesn't happen, then it's fine. You just figure it out. I don't know. I don't still deal with stress very well. So I'm not.
But the thing is, like, you know, you get stressed out about that. And that's like a good thing to know, because like you don't sometimes, like as a kid, like especially when I was younger, like I would let stress take control of me, but I wouldn't even recognize it was stress. I would just be like, oh, well, this is just normal behavior. But the idea that you're like, yeah, like I'm still trying to figure out how I am, and like I'm trying to move forward and learn how to deal with it. That's growing right there, because 10 years ago, we didn't think of that. We'll just like let the stress take control, and we'll just be like, okay, this is it. But yeah, like I feel like once you get older, like you really start figuring out like that's not part of my plan anymore. Like that's not my plan. Like I'm a planner. Like everyone knows. I love to plan stuff out and like basically harass and stalk people to get things done. I know that about myself. I accept that. But now I know in the past year, really, I have now made sure that I know that it's not up to me anymore, because I can't keep saying like this is gonna happen, because if I keep doing that, I start getting really depressed and upset with myself. But I feel like you just have to like eventually let it go, but it takes time because I still think about like this should be this way and this should be that way. But at the end of the day, like in the words of Natasha Bedingfield, the rest is still unwritten. But yeah, I still get stressed out. Like I wake up in the morning like, oh damn, I got this to do.
Yeah,
but,
and I think it's like unfortunate that we don't learn stress management until we're adults and they don't teach it in school. There's just so many things that should be taught in school that don't get taught, like how to get a credit card and finances.
Yes.
And like it's like, I don't know, basic adulting things that they don't teach, and I feel like that should be incorporated, especially because like when you're in high school and college, that's when you face the most stress, and that's when kids go through depression and develop all these anxiety disorders. And it's just, I don't know, I think there needs to be more open dialogue with mental health and how to deal with things, like deal with yourself and stress and your mental thoughts. So that's just my thought.
I've written like a few articles about like college students, like mental health, and honestly, like I feel like the biggest thing is the fact that like nobody like anymore is open about when they're stressed or when things are going wrong. So it's so easy to think like, oh, I'm the only one that feels this way, like something's wrong with me, like I shouldn't feel like this, like no one else is stressed out. So I think like you're completely right about like the open dialogue, because as soon as you know that someone else is like feeling the same way or like is having the same thoughts, it makes like it's so much easier to like be like, okay, now what, like, and just like lean on each other.
No, that's true.
100%. And I mean, I think it's interesting because Chauncey, Candace, and I we're past college, but Ashley, like you're still in it. You just graduated, like you're still in that little bubble of just coming out of it, and then like you're stepping into like for real life, like true on full ass adulting. So what's the perspective like from you? I mean, when it comes to the anxiety and the stress, I mean, and I don't know, has it been even harder now, like with COVID and stuff?
I feel like with me, like COVID, if anything, like it took away so much stuff that I had planned, that it made me like do better with like being like, okay, like I don't have control with everything. I think before COVID I had like a control problem, definitely, like with like and like a planning problem. And I think like if anything, like I went into COVID thinking like everything I was stressed out about, like even though it did not happen the way like I expected it to or I had planned, like it didn't end up going badly. Like I'm in a very like good place in my life right now, and I think like without that I wouldn't be here. So I think I just like it helped me get the mentality where it's like, okay, if this doesn't work out or if like what I planned doesn't happen, like it's either like something better might be happening or like I'm going to grow from it. So I think like that's the perspective I have now. So I think COVID helped me like with that aspect of it. I think it's a lot of like self-reflection and like just figuring out like who you are and like kind of like analyzing like who's in your life and like what is in your life and kind of figuring out like what you want to keep and like what isn't serving you anymore. Because I know like before quarantine, like I had a lot of like activities and like people and like stuff I was doing that like just did not serve me in any way and just wasted like my time and energy, and I did not feel good about myself like at all. So I think if anything, you just kind of take a step back and be like, okay, what am I doing like for me, and then what am I doing because I just want to please others. And you kind of just have to like navigate like those feelings and like realize like what you actually want to spend your energy on and like what makes you feel good. I think
I love that, because you need that, like especially with COVID. I feel like we are realizing we don't have a plan, and like honestly probably it's helpful that for me with COVID, like Ashley said, like you've grown a lot, you figure out what's not good for you in your life, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, your energy that you're giving out and taking in. And I think with COVID, like it was like a good self-reflect, like there's certain things I'm not forced to do everything for everyone, like I'm able to be more like, no, I don't want to do this, or like I tell people how I feel. And honestly, like I think I've grown more when I turned 30 and then with COVID to really make me feel like I am okay. Like I was talking to one of my best guys yesterday. He's like, yeah, I'm feeling down because like I feel like I'm not at the place I'm supposed to be. And I was like, dude, like you are like in your early 30s, like you have an amazing job, you have your health, you are like, you're such a kind person, all this stuff. And he's like, sometimes you have to be reminded of that because we forget where we are, because a lot of people like are not healthy, or they're not happy, or they're like don't have a job, they can't take care of their family or themselves, and that's sad. And like I always try to reflect to myself, it could be worse. And I know that's sad to say, it could be worse, But literally, like, I was in my 20s and I went through, like, my own certain issues I went through. And I look back, I'm like, well, damn, like, I've grown as a woman, as an individual. And like, life could be horrible. Like, life could really be horrible. But I'm just like, my life has already been planned out. And I just have to take one day at a time, because life could have been completely different in a different way. So I feel like with like Ashley saying, like with COVID, like you realize there's certain things that's not gonna like serve me anymore, and you have to go for it. And like what Candace was saying, like stress, like we all have stress. And like I wish you'd be like, oh, when you get older, stress is not gonna happen. That is a goddamn lie. Okay, like I have old people I know who are stressed the F out every day. I'm like, oh, you stressed, girl, you press. And I'm like, I'm probably like, it's part of who I am. I'm gonna be a stressed out person, but now I'm learning how to like not let the stress consume me. Like when Candace said, yeah, one week I'm stressed, next week I'm like, it is what it is. That's a whole different lifestyle. Like that's because you're grown to realize like it is, you stress for a bit and then you grow from it, which is, I think it's great too.
I mean, I'm the same way. I'm planner, like stressing and all that kind of stuff. And when things you think should go a certain way, or lined up to go a certain way, especially when it comes to life, like in production in like work stuff, you're taught to kind of adapt and like mold. And it's like, oh, if something breaks or someone doesn't show up, then blah, 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 we'll figure it out. Right. And I can totally do it in that realm. But when it comes to my life and like, say like I'm moving or I'm getting ready to move and I was supposed to be with one person, then that got switched. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? And so I spent a whole like 4 or 5 days just really tense. And I'm just like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I'm a problem solver. I'm a fixer. So I'm just like, okay, like I'm Googling things. I'm reaching out to people. I'm text messaging. Like, it was crazy. And then I finally just was like, okay, this is a bit much. Like, I need to stop. And so I took a step back and I really just calmed down. I was like, you know what? Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Relax. You're going to end up where you're supposed to be. This is fine. Something will turn up just like it normally does. So I want to ask you guys, what, in self-reflecting, was there ever an instance where you did have something happen where you wasn't supposed to go down like that, but in hindsight, you're like, wow, this actually worked out for the better?
Luckily, like you adapt to what your new normal is, your new beginning. Like I luckily am blessed to have amazing friends, and 3 of them are on this like call right now, which is amazing. I know you guys for like a few years, and like you guys are like people I talk to every day. Like I literally stalk you guys every day, vice versa. And it's good to have people that you can lean on. Like for instance, like Candace said earlier, like I wish there was like more, talk about mental health and talking to people. And I think with like, having those like things that were supposed to work out and they didn't work out, having your friends that you have really good energy with, not just your going out friends that you're like, oh, that's my college friend. Like, no, like these are my people. This is like the people I rely on for everything. That has helped with me realizing like, if I dodged this bullet, it's a reason when I can talk to my girls about it or my friends, or I can also talk to a therapist, which has been amazing. Yeah, I dodge bullets. Like there's certain things I look back and I'm like, oh, if I would have done this, I would have got this degree, so I had this degree. Or I could have done this, or could have done that. Like it all happened for a reason. Like I wish I could be like, oh, I should have been a doctor. No, come on. What do you see me open some blood? Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Like and that's not me, but is that a safe career? Yeah. I got a degree in advertising, which is great. The problem is like, I should have become a doctor, like, or I should have done this, but that wasn't my path to take. Or I should have been in that relationship, or like been like, but at the end of the day, like you have to do what's best for you. It's a reason why it happened. It's a reason why these things happen. And it's a reason why you picked the decision you did. You might have thought it was like a bad decision at that time, but at the end of the day, like look at you now. And maybe it didn't turn out the way it's supposed to, but it's gonna lead you to something that's supposed to happen.
Yeah. What about for you or you two?
I think for me, Chauncey already knows this, but yeah. I think there was specific people in my life who I knew wasn't healthy or wasn't right for me, but I just didn't have the final like tug to like let go of like that rope that was like holding me onto them. And then when something happened that kind of just didn't give me a choice to like I had to, I think I realized like how much happier I was without them. And so I think sometimes you just don't, like something happens that you think like And the only reason I never like let them go was because I didn't think I could handle them not being in my life. So I think like sometimes something just has to happen that gives you no choice. And then when you realize like you're fine, you're kind of just like, oh, I should have done this like 2 years ago when I first started thinking about it, you know? So I think like in that instance, like I did have like a big event where I was just like, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was. Like I just didn't like think I had enough strength for it. So I think like after that happened, like I definitely like looked at life a different way, and I kind of started focusing on like myself. So I think that was probably like my big event. But
kind of going off of what Ashley said, like you have to let go of certain people to grow. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, especially when you're younger. I mean, when I was younger, I was like, I just want a bunch of friends because I need someone to talk to. But I think when you're in college, or not even college, but like after, when you're working, you realize when you're, you know, busy at work and then you have all this adulting stuff to do, you realize you don't even talk to the same people that you did like 5 years ago. And I wish, like going back to your initial question about what I would tell my younger self, I would have told myself to not, I don't know, quality over quantity. So like, yeah, I'm just thinking about college. I would hang around all these people, but I literally don't even talk to like 90% of them. So
Same,
yeah,
girl, same.
and I feel like in your adult life, you develop friendships. Like Chauncey and I were like best friends, and we met at work. Like you find the, like, I don't know, you find the most unexpected things in the unexpected places.
When you do become an adult, you have people who are quality over quantity, because all the people you used to hang out in college and high school, you don't know those hoes. I don't know those hoes. Like I don't know them like I used to, and that's okay because we all grow up. And looking back at it, like people have to realize when you're in college or in high school or in your 20s, make sure you choose people who choose you every day, because there's people who are in your life who do not choose you as a person, not going to have your back. And also be careful of what the energy you're putting in your life. Like I used to go out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday in college and have a great time. And I look back and I'm like, oh, I don't know how I survived those years going out every night. Everyone who knew me in my 20s, like a good time. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was in the streets. Now I'm just like, oh, Dateline's on tonight. I'll be watching that. I'm an old lady and I know myself. But like, have fun in college, have fun in your 20s, but always be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the people you have in your life.
Here's the thing that I think a lot of people forget is that obviously, like, we've had this quote at least a couple times on our IG page where it's like, you know, not everybody likes you, so why should you like everyone? Why should like you don't even like everyone? Why? So it's like, it's remembering that, but it's also too, it's like with those people that were in your life for a certain period of time or whatnot, they serve their purpose. And I know a lot of people are just like, damn, they're like, they serve their purpose. Like everybody got like a purpose with you. It's like, and then you done and you peace out. Like, no, that's not it. That's not it. It's more like, you don't have to hate those people, you know, just for them to not be in your life. There's no ill will. There's no hatred or dislike. Sometimes there's a reason, but other times it's just like life just takes you in separate directions, and that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So I think cutting people out of your life or just not talking to them as much as what you used to is not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It's just life is taking you and that other person in different directions. What are some things that you have learned that you're gonna definitely either you wish to grow upon more, or you wish to like try and get under control a little bit more about yourself in the future? Because we've done a lot of reflecting, but now what are we hoping to get more of in the future?
I just want to like treat people better, because I feel like sometimes I take my anger out on the wrong people, and or like if I'm feeling stressed, like what I was saying before, I maybe I don't know how to handle my stress very well, so I take it out on other people, and you don't realize that you take it out on other people until you think back or they tell you how you made them feel. So that's definitely something I want to grow upon and learn how to manage my stress better and just not take it out on other people, especially because I feel like I tend to do it to the people who might care about me the most, and then you never want to hurt the people that care about you the most. So definitely something I need to work on, and understanding that your feelings are valid. So sometimes when I feel a certain way, like I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling like angry, I feel like I overthink it. I'm like, I'm not allowed to feel this way. But I think it's okay to understand that you have a right to your own feelings. Like, don't feel like you can't feel a certain way, because if you keep overthinking, you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
I think mine is like pretty similar with the like with what you just said. Also with like control, like I think I like when I get stressed out, it's usually typically because like I don't have control over something, or I feel like out of control, and I think like I don't react like in a healthy way when that happens. So I definitely like want to work on that. And then like Candace just said, like I'm definitely not a type of person to talk about my feelings. If I feel something, I'm just like, ew, yuck, like push to the side. And I think like obviously like that's not a healthy like coping mechanism, but I think like when all my like feelings or emotions, like if I'm like sitting on it for too long, then I don't react in like a good way, and then like I blow up, or like I just have one big mental breakdown for everything that's happened in the past like 6 months because I didn't let myself like feel it when it happened. So I think that's just like the two things I need to work on is just like knowing like I don't have control over everything that happens to me, and also like when I feel something to be like, okay, why do I feel this way? Like, how do I fix this in the future, instead of like letting it just like blow up on some random Tuesday in the middle of a coffee. Like, no.
No reason.
But no, I agree with everyone, because my sister Quincy, like she said something really like profound, and I'm gonna let her feel good about herself because it was profound. She said, just because someone says to you something that you don't like, make sure you don't have to react. You can control your reaction. You can't control what other people say to you, but you can control how you react to people. Because I'm the kind of person, like, it takes a lot for me to be very upset, and when I react, just be aware. Just run for the hills, because my reactions are crazy. Like, but it takes I let it build up, and then I'm like, I fester and I have a mental breakdown. I'm acting a mess. It's a mess. But I'm learning now, like, just because people will say something to provoke you, you don't have to react to it. Because trust me, I used to love getting the last word with people. Oh, I love it. I live for the last word. But now I'm just like this. I remember this. I remember put my little bucket and like, keep them aside and come back later to it. But I have to learn, like Ashley was saying, it's okay to have feelings. And I'm the person who don't, like Heather knows this. Everyone this phone call knows this. I don't like saying I have feelings. I don't care. If I like a person, I like that person. It's like a relief for me to say it, and it's disgusting. Like, I am 33 years old. I could be like, oh, I like this person, but I have like a total breakdown. I'm like, okay, I do like this person, or I do feel bad, or I am stressed out. Like, it's okay to have emotions. Like, I don't have to always be your strong friend. I'm learning to do that. You're not always have to be the strong friend in your friendship group. You're allowed to be a regular ass person and be okay. It's okay to be normal and have feelings, because yeah, I'm working on that daily. So we'll catch me in 5 years.
I mean, I feel like we're all on that same level. Like, I mean, I think for me, I'm a huge overthinker, and I didn't realize how big of an overthinker I was until maybe the last like 4 months. And I was like, wow. When like 6 different people from separate areas of your life tell you that you're overthinking, it's one of the head scratchers. You're like, okay, I need to kind of like figure this out, and why am I doing this? So I think my biggest thing is to stop overthinking things, because I don't know about you, but I like play out situations in my head sometimes, and I'm like, okay, well, if she says this, I'm gonna say this. It's not healthy. Don't do it. But I think it's that, and then I think, Candace, I'm right there with you. I think I'm trying to figure out, and it's not necessarily tied to stress, but I come across, it's been brought to my attention too that I'm scary. Like, I'm scary. 3 different people from 3 different areas of my life told me I'm scary. Like, I was like, what? They're like, no, you're scary to like other people. We're your friends, so we know how you are. Like, so don't. I was like, I don't know if I can change that, guy. So it's not that I'm like trying to change the fact that I come across like scary or whatever, because I really don't know what about me is that scary. But I think the bluntness, like the harshness of some of the things that I can say, I think I'm trying to like work on a little bit more and trying to be a little bit nicer about it rather than just like boom, say it. With my friends that know me, like obviously it's just gonna be blunt. Like y'all have been my friends from day one, so you know how I am. But for other people, I'm realizing that I need to tone it down just a little bit.
So the synopsis of this story, guys, we're all growing. We're not perfect. Our old selves is not perfect, but we're learning from our old selves to be better. And if we become better, like my mom told me years ago, she is still a work in progress. If Patricia can say that, so can I. And she's in her late 50s. So we're all a work in progress, and it's okay.
Yeah. That's what like honestly, when you think you have it all figured out, life likes to remind you that you don't have shit figured out.
Like, so, and I feel like the moment you start thinking that you're done growing or there's no growth, then like that's when you need to realize that you need to grow. Like life is growth. Yeah. Life is about growth. And if you think you stop growing, then that's a problem.
there's not a destination in this.
Yeah, like as soon as you start feeling comfortable, that probably means like there's an area of your life that you need to like grow in, I think.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much to Ashley and Candace for joining us. I love the fact that we could kind of sit here and talk about, you know, things that we're growing and learning from, because I think, you know, this types of topics are not discussed and talked about enough. And I love the fact that all of us feel comfortable enough to share this part of ourselves with everyone else. So until next time, Slay Nation, we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.